but I want to talk a little bit more about Yelp before we get there. Namely,
Excellent.
like the business side of it for you, like your experience, like them contacting you, like when
Hmm.
did they start? Has it gotten worse? Is it because when we like are talking to people who are in your position, like we're
Hmm.
essentially like we offer services to businesses,
Yep.
obviously, to like
Hmm.
list their beers, print
Yep.
their beer menu, TV
I
menu.
use it. Hmm.
Yeah.
Happy customer.
So um so it's like when we talk to them, their knee jerk is like they've been primed for this by Yelp. Like they're looking at this conversation that they have with us through like the prism of like Yelp. And like
Yeah.
we're just trying to be like, we're here to help.
Right.
But you can tell that if they don't know us, they haven't worked with us for a while, they're just like baseline
Standoffish.
suspicious, standoffish. Yeah. And they're just like
Yeah.
bracing themselves for like receiving conservatively 20 phone calls over the next week. Is
Yeah.
that your experience with it?
I think it goes back to me ignoring a lot of that stuff and that business in general.
Right.
So I don't get a lot of phone calls because, I don't answer them. And
Mm,
then I don't return any of the messages when they call.
right.
Um, Emails, as soon as you see Yelp, I just blow right past it, put
Yeah.
it in the box. So I would say no. I do remember when it became very much so. Like I remember beer menus when it first came out. Like I was, I jumped on that very, very early when it was just, still very private.
Right.
So my experience with you guys has always just been from mom and pop growing to what it is now. So I don't look at it the same way, but I can see how people could. Um,
Yeah.
you're charging money for something that's not tangible. There's no quantifying it, whether it works or not. Like you can't see those dollars walk into your door.
Mm,
So anything that any subscription base or something like that, how do you quantify it? How do you know that it's working? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So Yelp is one of those things like, oh, we'll just give you clicks or impressions or this or that, and it'll put you at the
Analytics.
top. Yeah, like I don't need that. Like,
Yeah.
um, I can do my own analytics, in a
Yeah.
way. Like that's what you have POS systems and you can see what's trending and what's not. But I don't know. Like I just find it ridiculous. I feel like it's just a money grab scam. And they just use like it's like fear propaganda. Like if you don't use it and you don't have your website on there, you don't have your email in there, you don't have, the hours of operation, you don't have whether you're casual, your price, like you have to have all those things so people can see. And it's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
You know what? I really don't. Would it help and make it better? Probably, because it's got a humongous audience.
Yeah.
But I just hate that fear mongering in a way.
Yeah. It's like
And it's like,
blackmail in a lot of ways.
basically, yeah. And
If
it's
you don't
awful.
like, I was looking at a Thai place that I was going to order from the other day, and
Hmm.
I, the first result in Google when I Googled their name was a Yelp page for them.
Yeah.
But so their name's written on the top, but then right beneath that, like the biggest thing on the page is a link to another place that is a Thai food place that pays Yelp.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
okay, you're not gonna pay us. We're gonna send everybody to your
Push
competitor.
someone up.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Whew. Yeah,
wow.
it's awful. And I do, and I think it's like just ignoring it. I think it's like one of those things where it just you just feel better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to worry about this, that, and the other. Like, if you can ignore the things that are really hateful and maybe hateful is a strong word, but like,
I
like
mean,
get rid of those things, your day's just going to be better and you can focus on what's important, and that's your business and your
right.
customer.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's an evil. Like the fact that like when you Google somebody's restaurant or bar and a Yelp page comes up before the actual website, like that's just, you know, and
It's
that
a
happens.
bummer.
Like your website's always like 5 or 6 down or whatever, but it's tough. It's one of those things. It's a necessity. It's not a luxury anymore to like have social media and internet presence, but it's also just like it's like such a money grab
Like a
scam. Yeah,
can of worms that gets opened up
yeah,
and like everything you have to pay for,
yeah.
you know?
And it is like, and I realize how like important it is, even though I hate it. But like, it's very important, and
Right.
you do have to play some of that game. But I think you can pick and choose your battles.
Yeah. And you don't have time to do all of it anyway.
Yeah,
Like
I
all
mean,
the different platforms you'd have to be on if you wanted to have a like all
yeah,
encompassing.
yeah.
internet
I'm like
presence.
just keeping up my beer menu on beer menus and my website is that's every day. You know what I mean? I got to go change a couple after our interview before we open to make sure that it's
Right.
right. Yeah.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I feel like that's like, I mean, I wouldn't even put you and Yelp on the same platform as far as like that. You know what? Like
Right.
I can understand why people would have trepidation, but like it's you're a necessity. Like so many people for that focus. You know what I mean? Like if they had a craft beer or a craft beer, if they had a craft cocktail one, I'm sure people would go to that. I don't even know what that would be, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. And it's like
But
you're
like that's an extension of what you were talking about before, and as far as like the craft beer community, like the people
mhm,
using beer menus are people who care about
yeah,
beer. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I mean, it doesn't hurt that you can't leave like public reviews about places. Like I'm sure there would be some negative stuff going on, but that
you
was a
guys don't do
conscious.
that, right? You don't do that yet.
No,
Oh, thank
no.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a conscious decision.
Yeah,
We're
because you
gonna
have like
skip
people
that.
like I don't know why this story just popped in my head, but like I had a customer. We had did this like beer appreciation night for like a beer group, and
Okay.
there was definitely some like newbies, and then there was definitely the people that organized it that knew the beer, right? So we put on for that event. I had just gotten in a keg at Hill Farm said, and you have to tap that right away and whatnot. And
Right.
so I was like, hey, I was like, I'll be having this in. I'll put that up, guys, special for you. You guys can have at it, right? So this customer comes up and she's like, there's something wrong with my beer. And I think it was like Dorothy, or I can't remember which beer it was from Hill Farmstead, but
Uh-huh.
they don't really make mistakes, right?
Yep.
So he comes up and then they just learn, I think they just learned the word diacetyl. They're like, I think my beer has diacetyl in it. And I was like, oh, which beer are you drinking? And she's like, the Hill Farmstead, whatever. And I'm like, that's impossible. Like, I was like, that doesn't happen. And
Yeah.
then it was like, she was like, well, it does have it. And I was like, and then the person next to her was like, yeah, mine doesn't have it, but hers does. And I'm like, well, that's definitely impossible now because they came
Right.
from the same keg. Like if one has it, they both have it. So I don't know, you know, I'm happy that you just learned that word, but it's you don't understand the functionality
Right.
of it. But it was just funny, like you have things like that. And those are the people that write reviews on Yelp.
Yep.
They're like,
Exactly.
you know, my boyfriend had a great experience with, you know, his Hill Farmstead, although mine had diacetyl in it. Like that's a false statement
Right.
that you're like trying to make into facts. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Ugh.
it's yeah, that's the kind of level of human you deal with on sometimes.
And they're the ones that you see.
Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
the ones that
They're the
bubble up.
most vocal.
Yep. Yeah, you don't hear about the people who just had like a really solid time.
Yeah, who have an
You
amazing
know?
palate that just like nuanced everything, nailed it, and had exactly what they wanted. But